I've lived my entire life running from nightmen, and tonight, they're here to kill my father. Posted in Reddit No Sleep by user UserU1. If you like this story, you can check the link in the video description. Be warned and hang onto your seats. This video may contain disturbing content. Viewer discretion is advised. I knew they were coming when I awoke. They will be men from the sky. We had been told, and they would come on the wind. When I awoke in the darkness of the castle, our fortress, our home, and heard the strange wind in the distance, my bones grew cold and I knew they were coming. They are coming, and they will be here soon. They seek my father, a warrior who saw fit to stand against them. When most of our world cowered to them, my father rose as a child and battled them for 40 years. My entire life has been spent in the shadow of their pursuit, and the shadow my father cast to protect me from them. In the darkness, another noise, and my eldest brother emerged from the stairway with fear in his face. "A storm is coming," he said in the only tongue I've ever known. "I know," I said. "Father!" He turned and shouted into the darkness. A light flickered on and illuminated our chamber at the pinnacle of the castle. "I know, boy," my father said. "All to arms." "Yes, father," my brother said before turning to my sister and me. "Girls, stay here and comfort your mother." I nodded as he disappeared back into the darkness and back down the stairs to join the others. They will be 5 strong as he joins 2 men who share the name Abu and their wives. I did not know what forces the Nightmen would bring and shuddered at the thought. The Nightmen will bring a horde. We will not stand. Outside, the wind rose. It sounded like no storm I've ever heard before, like a dense flock of 1,000 birds furiously beating their wings in the same direction, like the breathing of God himself. The sound moved towards us from a horizon I couldn't see. We have lived here in relative peace for 5 years, half my life. I remember the times before in darkness, always running under the cover of the blackest night, from one dark hideaway to another. To arrive at such a fortification, a castle of stone with a courtyard surrounded by high ramparts with spikes upon them, and an iron gate to protect us, was a sense of safety I'd never known. That safety is now gone. The wind was close. I imagined a storm outside where I could not see, hunting and peering in and looking for us with a single massive eye. The sound grew closer, and the 4 of us huddled close, and I thought of a distant memory from before the castle. I recall that the Nightmen carry the power of the storm, and with the storm comes lightning. My sister whimpered. My mother was too terrified to make a sound. "Hush, hush," my father said. He loved our mother dearly and had rescued her from a distant land where the Nightmen lay their horrible desires. His eyes showed a warm, calm resolve, but behind them I hoped his fierce passion still burned. His face was tired behind a graying beard, and for a moment I thought he might weep. Then the storm was overheard, as though feeling out the fortress for weakness. Suddenly outside, but dreadfully close, there was a thunderous calamity, like the sound of a great beast dying, and then the storm died with it. The wind stopped, and for that moment, there was silence and calm, and I felt the last sense of hope I've ever experienced. "Is it gone?" Mama asked. "Are we safe?" "No, my love," my father said. After a momentary pause with his ears perked like hats, he continued, "They are in the courtyard. They are in the courtyard. They are past the outer ramparts. Our bedchambers opens to an outdoor pinnacle surrounded by a 2-meter tall parapet, but beyond it, I can hear movement on the ground 10 meters below." I turned, and for the first time I saw a flash of fear in my father's eyes. I don't remember a single moment where he showed weakness, strayed from his principled beliefs, or forgot his resolve to fight. Far below, I hear a thump that carries throughout our fortress. A mighty force followed by a tremor that travels into my bones. I heard the patter of footsteps, my brother, the protectors, and their wives. And at that moment, I knew. They are in the compound, past the inner ramparts to the bailey, and now they're right outside the castle door. The light my father had ignited went out, and they cast darkness over us. Boo called up to us. "I know," my father shouted back. "Go with God." They exchanged blessings, and for a moment the world fell silent again. Another thud shook the structure, and it was much louder. For the first time, I felt the strange noises disrupt the stillness within the fortress. Oh God, they're inside our home. I heard familiar voices rise in anger as our defenders bravely faced the attackers. The younger Abu and 2 women called out a battle cry and evoked the name of God to fight with them. And though I could not see it, I know they fought bravely. And then their voices fell silent forever. The battle was swift, and I could feel its violence tremble through the walls into my bones, and I shook against my shivering mother and sister. And only Father held still. 3 are dead, and only 2 remain between us and the Nightmen. They are coming to the stairs. The stillness and silence returned, and in the darkness it was terrifying. My soul ached, and I prayed to God to kill the Nightmen. Now my father trembled too, and I felt his grip on us loosen. They are below us now, just 1 floor down. Below us there was another commotion, followed by another battle. I heard my brother's voice rise in anger for the first and last time, and then silence again. I prayed that the battle had been won, but it was silent. I knew silence meant death. We are alone. The 4 of us and the Nightmen are coming for us. Girls, you must go now, my father said with a voice that was alien and filled with terror. They only want me, and you may hide in the dark and pray they spare you and only take me. Father, no! I shouted to him, but hushed me and pushed me back, and I knew his mind was made. My sister and I retreated from the chamber and moved to the landing at the top of the stairs, and backed into the darkness against a wall. Could still hear my parents quietly praying. We crouched in the darkness as the fortress fell silent and was pitch black. The prayers stopped, my breathing slowed, and silence. And then a sound, and another, like footsteps, but footsteps that are so soft only a child's feet could make them. Oh God, they are on the stairs in front of us. They are so close that I could see them if not for this darkness they've cast onto us. I was frozen in terror, and my sister as rigid as stone against me, and I prayed and squeezed my eyes shut, begging God to make them go away. The steps came up the stairs towards us, with nothing left to protect us, and I squeezed my eyes tighter and prayed harder. Oh God, in your greatness and mercy, make them go. Kill them for what they have done and to protect my father, for he has only lived in your service. The footsteps stopped. The silence returned. God? My sister shrieked and shattered the last silence I've ever experienced. And my eyes retched open, and the horrible green glow of the Nightmen washed over me. They stood before, in all their horror, inches away from me. They are not men at all. They are not of this world at all. They are demons. One lunged at me and we were cornered. It had the lips of a man which spoke the tongue of the devil, and it had 4 massive eyes like those of a spider. Its head was massive with a hardened shell, and it was creature and machine merged as one, and it wore the skin of the jungle draped over its form. It continued speaking in the heretical tongue I could not understand. Behind it, more of them rose from the stairs, and I heard my father scream in terror, and in glance, I saw him alive for the last time with shock and awe upon his face. In a flash of lightning and a thunderous roar that shook the castle and everything in it, the Nightmen struck my father down. One by one, the Nightmen struck him again and again. Finally, one of them leaned over and inspected the insidious work they'd done. But first, he transformed. With a wave of a mottled green hand, he took on a man's face and looked down on my father with a man's eyes. The one with the face of a man looked down at my slain father, and then back at me. He spoke in the great Satan's tongue at me. I did not understand and was too terrified to speak even if I had. Then it knelt down, its shape-shifting face now level with mine, and spoke in my own tongue. In perfect Arabic, it asked my father's name, pointing back at the man they'd murdered. Osama, I said, as tears ran down my face. My father's name was Osama. As the saying goes, sometimes the things in our heads are far worse than anything they could put in books or on film. bolt your doors, and lock your windows. But be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to get another Tide of Terror.